Sports with
Well, stormy weekend weather hit parts of the southeast, Gulf Coast, and also through the Midwest. And in the southwest, you're looking at the remains of Tropical Storm Frank, and that moisture has been impacting you on Sunday with some rains in the deserts of California and Arizona. Thanks for watching. I'm Mike Seidel on the Weather Channel. Let's get you updated first with some heavy rainfalls from the Motor City, Detroit, and Royal Oak. And check out this tropical downpour and take a look at how the sewers are just not handling the rain. Now, those folks here are running for cover. But check out the ponding here and these cars and vans coming by, and you'll see this Greyhound bus come by and spray the cameraman there. This is what you got to be on the lookout for. The water backs up and you get some serious ponding and you can hydroplane. Also some wet roadways in Atlanta Sunday morning and afternoon, several rounds of thunderstorms. This young lady enjoying the umbrella and the rainfall. Did keep the temperatures down into the 70s during the rain, eventually getting into the 80s. Maybe another shower on Monday. And in New York, a place where it hasn't rained a whole lot recently, pretty decent Sunday morning, out for a walk there near the park as temperatures started off in the 70s. Good beach weather in the afternoon, topping out near 90. And the humidity has been creeping back on Sunday night. On the way, some storms. Meanwhile, we check the temperatures, then we'll update you on your travel weather, get your forecast for the rest of the week. It's been hot in Southern California, and we've had first reports of some more brush fires. Going to have to watch that very closely. If the heat continues and we kick in the Santa Ana winds in the next month or so, that could be very tragic. Meanwhile, New Orleans, 99, and way up there in the normally cooler locations, Caribou and Marquette. Temps up there, 87 Marquette, 90 in Caribou, way up there at the Canadian border. That's where the hot stuff was. Also in Dallas, 103, you're back into the same old grind of hot, dry weather in the southern plains. Oklahoma City, 105. So after a break with some rainfall, it's back to the drought. Never actually broke it, just got some relief for a few days. Florida, getting some storms, some damage around Tampa, some wind damage. And you can see the cool spot on the west coast, San Francisco, cool by that Pacific air at 69. Now, as far as the overnight travel problems go, we'll have some storms in mid-America, but not a whole lot of severe weather. However, in parts of Kansas, we've had some flash flood watches posted for the overnight hours in western Kansas. And we've had a few storms along our front in the upper Midwest. Some of those storms did produce some large hail and wind damage in Minneapolis and points north of the Twin Cities on Sunday evening. This is where you could see a shower, scatter the operative word in some of these areas in the east. Just carry the umbrella just to keep yourself covered going into work on Monday. Now, as far as fog goes, we'll have some in the Midwest and also the eastern seaboard. Remember, this can really affect and put a crimp on your transportation if you're flying. So check ahead with your air carrier first thing Monday morning just to be on the safe side in this kind of situation. Here's a look at the satellite view. Here's our cool front. There's the moisture from Frank. Frank sitting off the southwest coast, or what's left of Frank. It was downgraded Sunday night to just a tropical, just a low, not a depression anymore. And the moisture is sitting in place. This is now encroaching on Philly, New York, and eventually Boston. And that will increase your risk of thunderstorms the next several afternoons. There are your low temperatures Monday morning. Warm and muggy for most of us. The mountain valleys of the west, pretty comfy, down there below 50. Here comes our front. It's limping along. It's not moving very quickly, so the weather's not going to change a whole lot. However, if you're west and north of the front, Chicago, the Twin Cities, Des Moines, pretty nice day. Temperatures warm, humidity down a notch, and no chance of rain, or very little chance of any rain. Along the eastern seaboard, here's the moisture flowing up, and this will induce showers and storms in an area where it's been very, very dry. A lot of you need the rain, especially the farming interest in the mid-Atlantic. Maybe a little late for some of you, but at least we'll get some rain in there for a couple of afternoons. But scatter. Remember, it's not going to rain everywhere all the time. And the southwest moisture continues to hang around. That's where we'll have some heavier rainfalls. Had some flash flooding in Pima County near Tucson on Sunday night. Also watch out into the western plains of Kansas and Nebraska, and the rains heading into the central Appalachians. Temperatures tomorrow, again, triple-digit heat in Dallas. Most of the west this week will be at or above average. Look at the 90s up through Big Sky country. Meanwhile, back east, with the jet stream dipping down, it stays cooler than average, a little bit more unstable. Clouds, and that kind of caps the insulation or the incoming heating from the sun. So notice the highs. Not 90, maybe 85 or so, but the 90s suppressed to the south, not only Wednesday, but again Thursday and Friday. So once again, although it's going to be muggy and tropical, it won't be downright just awful. You know how bad it can be in early August in D.C. and most of the Northeast. Here's that front. Showers and storms on Tuesday. Little area of friendly weather. Chicago, Minneapolis staying dry and fairly comfortable Thursday. And it's the return flow bringing the moisture up through the plains and Midwest. The monsoon continues in the southwest as the showers and storms continue to fall. Boston to Philadelphia to wrap up the work week. We'll check your local forecast coming up, but first, let's take a break and check these travel cities, beginning with Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, I'm Dick Clark, and now everyone can enjoy the freedom of the new ISIS cellular phone from Philips thanks to prepaid cellular.
Introducing prepaid cellular from Worldwide Direct. With prepaid cellular phone cards, there's no monthly bills.
Take the phone just in case.
Thank you.
And no contract, no credit check, and no deposit. Got car trouble?
My car's broken down. Can you come and help?
Help is just a call away. So forget those outrageous phone bills. With prepaid cellular phone cards, buying airtime is easy. Order from home and the phone arrives at your door ready to use. Get the Philips ISIS prepaid cellular phone, a $199 value, now just 3 easy payments of $33. And there's no contract, no credit check, no deposit, and no monthly bills.
So pick up the phone, America. It's for you.
It's half past the hour, early on this Monday, the 10th of August. This Weather Center, by the way, is sponsored by Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse. I'm Rick Griffin here with Marshall Cease, and after a nice weekend, it looks like maybe a little rain coming back into New York City later.
Yeah, we probably need some, and you know, the pacing's been great for we in the Northeast. It's Saturday and Sunday, it's just been gorgeous for 3 weekends in a row.
At least 3, yeah.
And then Monday through Friday, get some rain, water the lawn a little bit.
That's how it's supposed to work.
That's exactly right. Good morning, everyone. We've got some severe weather out there. We have a lot of moisture in the southwest due to Frank, the remnants of Frank, and that's provided some thunderstorms in the southwest, northeast. Rain headed your way, and we'll show all that to you this morning as you look at current weather here at the Weather Channel. We start out with the water vapor imagery. You know, a lot of people love to look at this because it really tells a lot of different stories. Those areas shaded in the dark that you see, that's dry air for the most part. And these gray that you see, the light gray, that's the moisture content of the atmosphere. And one, it tells where the moisture is coming from and how much moisture is there. And off the coast of the Baja, we have the remnants of Frank, a tropical depression of yesterday, tropical storm of a couple of days ago that worked its way north along the Baja. That's pumped in a lot of moisture into the southwest. This time of year, you have a lot of moisture here, generally of a monsoonal nature, bumping out of Old Mexico. But you get added moisture content further to the west when you get some kind of a tropical system out in the eastern Pacific. So what that means for people Southern California and in Arizona is that there's an increased threat for showers and thunderstorms and possible flooding. So keep that in mind if you're traveling in Arizona toward California, Southern California, especially this afternoon. You get the daytime heating becomes a much greater factor. Meanwhile, showers and thunderstorms under these clouds, and also some showers and thunderstorms developing now in Little Rock, Arkansas, another area just to the south and east of Des Moines, Iowa, while in the east we have a general area of low cloudiness and high moisture content, pretty typical of August, and that is just moving very slowly eastward, and we're getting showers and thunderstorms triggered by a trough of low pressure, which is kind of a part of an upper level trough that is sitting over the eastern third of the country. Satellite picture reflects much of the same thing. Obviously, clouds are made of moisture, and the water vapor imagery shows you much of that, and so does the satellite picture. Infrared technology shows you mostly the colder top clouds, and that's what we get when you see these white clouds here associated with a frontal zone. You don't, in some cases, see the real low clouds, the stratus and the fog kinds of clouds. For instance, that you're watching out your window in Cairo, Illinois, and in Cape Girardeau and across Kentucky. Here's the rain that's headed our way in the northeast this morning. It's been raining down around Johnstown, Pennsylvania, over to Garrett County, Maryland, and then westward and southwestward through Charleston and Morgantown, West Virginia. These are all capable of dropping heavy amounts of rain. Now this morning we've got a lot of clouds in the northeast, and it's going to be mostly cloudy day in New York City, for example. This rain is headed our way. It's raining pretty good right now at Parkersburg, West Virginia, over to Garrett County, Maryland. Cumberland, Maryland's reporting rain too. And then further up toward Altoona, Johnstown, Latrobe, Ligonier, some of the Laurel Mountains out here getting some rain too. And some of those rainfall totals could be pretty heavy. Cleveland, getting some light rain, heavier rain to the south, and that's headed our way. A little storm developing north of Youngstown, Ohio, with some heavier rain too. And it's all in association with a weakness in the upper levels of the atmosphere, a little trough of low pressure, and that adds the lift to the atmosphere. 70 at Boston, 75 in New York City this morning, 70 in Philadelphia, 74 in Washington, D.C. These clouds are associated with a front that's working its way out of Minnesota and Wisconsin. It caused hail to fall in Minneapolis, St. Paul yesterday. In Winona, Minnesota, right on the Mississippi River here, they had some street flooding and some rock slides east of the city due to storms that developed. We have storms developing this morning just to the south of Des Moines, Iowa. Be on the alert if you live down in Ottumwa, Iowa, and Fairfield, Iowa, because these storms are going to be headed your way. They're dropping to the south-southeast. There's been big storms in Kansas, south of Garden City, and these are all moving to the east-southeast at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. And in southwest Kansas, we've had a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings this morning. Clark County was one of those. All of those those have since expired, but we could still see some very heavy rain and some wind damage from these storms. This front will march its way to the east very slowly. This trough reinforces the one ahead of it today. 74 in Chicago, not a lot of difference in temperatures behind the front, but you can see some significance with 63 in Minneapolis, 59 at Sioux Falls, while Des Moines is at 72 degrees. To the south, there's your moisture in Little Rock, Arkansas, and the thunderstorms that have developed this morning. These thunderstorms are headed right across the Little Rock area, or will be. These storms to the north, and the ones over Little Rock now have dissipated, mostly light rain here, but we've got a couple of big storms headed our way for the rush hour, it looks like. Fog in Kentucky and over into western Virginia, 70 in Atlanta, 72 in Birmingham. Dallas looks like another very hot day for you. And for more on the forecast and that hot weather, here's Rick.
Thanks, Marshall. We look at the midday map. Once again, hit and miss showers and storms. New York, all the way west into Arizona and Southern California. Hot in Texas, but somewhat less warm and less humid for Wisconsin, Minnesota, and the eastern Dakotas today. Cold fronts pass by, Canadian high pressure ridging in from the north. Well, after a dry weekend, the moisture returns to the northeast. Now in Boston, you should get through the entire day without rainfall. But New York City, even though you're starting out dry, at the moment, you will end the day, perhaps in time for rush hour, with scattered showers and storms. And there could be a little rain at any time in Syracuse, Rochester, Pittsburgh, and southward to Huntington, West Virginia. Highs today in the 80s. 88 today, Atlanta, mix of clouds and sun. Low 90s in Miami. As you can see, Dallas, you'll be putting up with another sizzler, 104. While we project 85 in Chicago, the same in Minneapolis, with sunny skies and noticeably less humidity.
Could be a wet commute in some of the major cities around the country this morning. We'll tell you where coming up on Travel Watch. Stay with us.
This program was sponsored by Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse. When it comes to home improvement, Lowe's knows.
Every day more people are choosing Lowe's, and here's why.
There's a complete hardware store inside of every Lowe's. We have more hardware than anyone.
Over 8,000 items in stock.
Including the one you need. At guaranteed everyday low prices.
Things like bolts, springs, cabinet hardware.
Even this? Extruded U-nuts? Sure. And in 6 different sizes.
Plus ropes, chains, construction hardware, and more.
Everything from washers to dryers.
But that's another commercial.
When it comes to home improvement, Lowe's knows.
Dream along with me.
He has had 148 songs on the pop chart spanning 4 decades, 50 top 10 hits, 14 number 1 hits.
Magic.
Now, Cornerstone Promotions brings you a classic collection by the great Perry Como.
Find a way.
Howard, thanks for joining us for this edition of Storm Watch. In just a moment, we'll look at the moisture returning to the northeast. So, once again, after a pretty nice weekend, New York City, look for showers and storms later on. And there are some very heavy showers and storms at the moment in the plains. We'll take a look at those close up. Arkansas, you're getting hit pretty hard with some thunderstorms, too. And, of course, we'll look at where the weather should be very pleasant around the nation today. A few locations will have drier conditions and less hot weather as compared to yesterday. All that coming up. First of all, the latest on the tropics, which remain very, very quiet for the most part. In fact, the only significant tropical system is in another hemisphere. It's over in the South China Sea, and it's Tropical Storm Penny, which is heading on towards China, and that system may aggravate the serious flooding conditions over in that country during the next couple of days as it adds moisture to an already very significant flood situation. Meanwhile, on the Atlantic side, we'll start in the Gulf, where things are quiet, Caribbean too. Let's go closer to the eastern Atlantic, where tropical waves continue to roll off the African continent. Very impressive looking systems, but as they hit the relatively cool water out here, they have been recently anyway, losing a lot of their thunderstorm activity. Now this one's fairly impressive right here, and this system right here is looking pretty good at the moment. Certainly something that bears watching, as it does have a counterclockwise spin to it, and convection has been fairly steady. It's been waxing and waning a little bit, but this system, and by the way, it's a fairly low latitude, so the chances of it really taking off and strengthening are fairly slim at this point, but that's one system we'll be watching, even if it were to continue to organize many, many days away from even the islands. Over here, the windwards and the leewards. Here it is, different perspective, right-hand side of your screen right there. As we go west, Martinique, Barbados, good shape, Virgin Islands as well. Although this afternoon, squally conditions could be around. That would be afternoon showers, maybe a thunder shower, gusty winds, locally heavy rainfall. And there are, as a matter of fact, some showers with a weak disturbance in the islands this morning. Puerto Rico, though, is in pretty good shape. And how about Frank as we head to the western side? This is actually an old advisory. The final advisory was issued yesterday on Frank. It is now just a tropical low-pressure system swirling right here off Baja California, moving on to the west-northwest. We sort of advertised that moisture would be enveloping the southwest, and it has, but it has not become as significant as earlier anticipated. So while the flash flood watches have been discontinued as a result, we'll be watching it because there still is a chance of some locally heavy rain. Arizona, Southern California, parts of Utah, and southern sections of Nevada. Farther west, the remnants of Estelle, just northeast of the Hawaiian island chain and well southwest of California. Just basically a cluster of storms. And then the only named system at this time is Tropical Storm Penny in the South China Sea. That system, 55-mile-per-hour top sustained winds right now. So reviewing things, basically, other than Penny in the Western Pacific, it is a very quiet tropical weather scenario this morning. So back to the lower 48. We begin briefly with the water vapor, then go to the surface map. We watch high pressure moving down into North Dakota, Minnesota, and the Upper Lakes. A fine day coming up for the Iron Range and Arrowhead of Minnesota and western upper Michigan. Minneapolis, you'll be looking very nice today after your rough storms that visited you yesterday afternoon and evening. It's a great weekend in New England, the Hudson Valley region, and it's still dry this morning. But notice moisture beginning to advance your way. Radar will also confirm we have showers and thunder showers about. And they've moved into central Pennsylvania now. They'll be tracking towards Atlantic City, New York City, and Hartford before this day is finished. So while the morning rush hour should be in good shape, the afternoon rush hour time period could be a little wet, and it could be slow and go, aggravated a bit by the weather. 68 in Caribou, down from 90, a record high yesterday. 70 in Boston, Philadelphia, 72 in Pittsburgh. It's warm and muggy across the south. Not much happening. There are some storms in Arkansas, a few in South Carolina. Heaviest activity right now, parts of Kansas, extreme western Oklahoma, right out through the Panhandle. These are heavy storms at the moment. They have weakened a bit. And over Arkansas, it's a little wet in Little Rock this morning. Western lower Michigan, showers for you, sprinkles moving through Chicago. Here's that drier Canadian air mass behind the front over Minnesota and the Dakotas. And it's a comfortable 55 right now in International Falls. Well, stay with us. Your local weather's next, and then Weather Center.
Heavy rain plagues areas from the northeast of Florida as thunderstorms brew in the Central Plains. Will your work week get off to a wet start? Find out next on Weather Center.
Mr. Sandman.
Remember when a quarter bought you 3 songs on the jukebox? And where you had the most fun hanging out with your friends?
Young love, first love.
Now relive those malt shop memories with 36 of the most romantic songs to ever come out of a jukebox.
Since I met you, baby.